time that I saw you, I had never seen anything so perfect. I remember thinking that I had to have you or I'd die. After a significant instrument, then you whispered that you loved me. And I felt so easy.
Part of it you can learn, but most of it you get. Like I had an encounter where, I don't know if I could say this, but I had some entity that spoke to me before.
I know, yeah.
And their thing was, you're born to be what you're supposed to be. And things will happen in your life that will guide you in that direction.
Yes.
So you don't have to worry about people. I guess you have to teach people something. They'll find it. If you're coming here to be a doctor, you'll be a doctor, or put in a situation where you're taking care of people. It's just how it's set up. It's coded in your DNA when you get here for you to do that. So you get what I mean? So if you're supposed to be creative, it will happen, unless you have an untimely death or something like that.
In 1968, NASA hired George Land and Beth Jargman to develop a test that can measure the creative potential of their scientists and engineers. They tested the scientists and engineers in divergent thinking, which is the ability to look at a particular problem and proposing multiple solutions. This test had no right answers, but required the test takers to come up with as many ideas as possible. The test was successful, but it left Land with one big question. Why are some people more creative than others?
That's a really good question. You know, it's almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? And I think we're born with the creativity. You know, I think everybody is born with that ability to paint or draw or act or sing, or I think the difference is the environment that you're exposed to and what is allowable from a very early age. You know, so I think some of us were very lucky to have parents that were okay with you exploring your artistic sides and encouraging that. You know, and some of us who maybe weren't so lucky and we didn't have parents that saw the importance in the artistic abilities of their children.
I believe in creating your own style and techniques and do your own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't went to school for that because I didn't believe in that.
Yeah, that's true. Because they'll definitely have you painting like someone else, and then the things you think are okay, they'll tell you that they're
no, it's not okay.
against that. Yeah.
So you're pretty much, they're keeping you in order, in line. You're not, you're not trying to have you out of order and I guess think outside the box and grab information from out in. They're just trying to say, well, do it this way. You know what I mean? And then you're like, well, that was nice, but no, you're not following the rules. It's like, I'm not a rule guy.
Land and Jarman then decided to give the same test to 1,600 children between the ages 4 and 5, and the results shocked them. Now, the images you've been seeing are at 100% opacity, which means that you can see them completely. So what I'm going to do now is show you the percentage of creative genius that the test subjects displayed through the opacity of this scene. When they tested the 1,600 children aged 4 to 5, a full 98% of those children fell into the category of creative genius when it came to imagination.
So a good example of that would have been, you know, somewhere in the early 90s, Dad, I really want one of those computers. I really want one of those computers that just came out. It was a Tandy 1000HX, the first computer that could play a video for 10 seconds. And, you know, and I was like, I really want one. I really want one. We didn't have money. My parents didn't have very good employments, and it was tough for them. And computers at the time were $3,000. I don't know where or how, but next thing I knew, I had one of those computers I wanted. Really? So, to my knowledge, my poor father went into debt for many, many years. But anyhow, I had this computer, and I got this computer, and we unboxed it, and we set it up, and I was like, wow, this computer's amazing. And my dad was happy that I was happy. He went to work. He came back to find the computer completely taken apart.
Oh my God.
I think you're born whatever you're supposed to contribute to the world. You might need a little bit of a lesson to point you in the right direction,
Yeah.
but I think everybody have it in them to, I guess, be what they're supposed to be. So the learning, yeah, you can learn certain elements, but when you learn certain things, the teacher's supposed to back off and let you develop your own skill. I don't think they teach you that in art school. You learn about too many people, and by the time you get to the point where you need to graduate, you have yet to develop your own techniques.
Land then waited 5 years to give the same children the same test over again. Now, only 30% of them qualified as creative geniuses.
I had unscrewed everything in the back. I wanted to know what a computer looked like inside. $3,000 computer, early 90s.
Wow.
My father walked in, and you could just see like his soul probably left his body. I don't know what happened to the guy, but he had a struggle.
Yeah, of course.
And then he came to and he said to me, "Son, what are you doing?" "I took apart the computer to see what's in it. Look at all these parts." "Cool. What did they do?" "I don't know, but aren't they cool, Dad?" "Yep. Are you going to put it back together when you're done, son?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I know how. I think I know how." "Great, son. Good work." He went in the kitchen. God knows what he did in the kitchen, but he just held it in, you know? But what did I learn from that?
They gave the kids the test again, this time at 15 years old, and the number dropped to 12%.
Yeah. It's sort of like you have, I see this happen all the time. You have 30 kids in the class, and every individual learn a different way. And a lot of them are not interested in the same things. So like I was saying earlier, those guys are into art, they're not into the other shit. So that's why they just don't pay attention to anything else. So that's the way I see it. I think that's the approach. They should put you, I guess, together, and then once you start branching off, they pull you away, and then make you focus on yourself once that happens.
That is what
Yeah.
should happen. Because for me, when I was in school, I would fail everything. But when it came to English,
Yeah.
and poetry time,
Mm-hmm.
90%
Well,
all
there you
day,
go.
You know, it's like,
Because that's
then
your thing.
Back to anything else, fail.
Yeah, because you're not interested in learning anything else. You're like, I'm like over that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. What a different world it would be if we did that.
Yeah, but they don't want that though. Because you create thinkers and people with, because a lot of people fail and support the system based on the fact that you're not able to think on your own. You think you're a failure, or you go support the alcohol store because you're not doing too good in life. But if you were focused on yourself and build yourself up, a lot of those things you wouldn't partake in.
Finally, Land gave the test to 280,000 adults and found a mere 2% of them qualified as creative geniuses.
There's so much to learn from that for a kid. You know what I mean? First of all was my father's confidence in me, being able to put this thing back together, which I did. I guess because I sensed that, oh, this is a touchy subject here. But also, you know, he gave me that creative freedom to explore a creative side of me, which was, well, at the most simple form, you could say taking something apart and putting it back together, which is often what we have to do as artists. You know, whether you're painting or you're an actor, we're constantly kind of, you know, we imagine this idea and we put it all together, but then we have to construct it, right? We got to get the paint, we got to get the brush, we got to get the canvas, we got to canvas the frame properly, and before you can do all that. So I think the creative process was learned even more through being in an environment where that was allowable. So I think even though we're all born creative and have that creative ability, I think our environment also dictates how creative we become as we grow older.
It's pretty dark, isn't it? So, what did Land learn from all this? What Land concluded was that it's not creative behavior that's learned. It's non-creative behavior. This one too, but let's touch on it a little more. Do you think creativity is something that we're born with or something that we learn?
One of my favorite lines from this song with Damian Jr. Gang Marley and Nas, I think it's called Paradise or something.
Yes.
He says, "Are we born not knowing, or are we born knowing all?" Like, that was the first time that I started like really like thinking about it more, and I just think we're born knowing all, and from there it's, you know, we forget, and it's a challenge to remember rather than learn. Yeah.
It was the first time that I saw you. I'd never seen anything so perfect. I remember thinking that I had to have you or I'd die. Your throat was significant and you served me. Then you whispered that you loved me. And I felt